Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, let's do this again. I forgot. Good afternoon, everyone. This month we are joined by Amanda Oaks-Cornelison, who's been practicing as a physiotherapist in South Africa for over 20 years. Her passion for lifestyle medicine started in 2016 when she became a CHIP, a complete health improvement program facilitator. And she went on to obtain her diploma separately to Selma, not realizing, I think, at that before I think we even existed in 2018 from Avondale University. And she then went on to get a master's degree in lifestyle medicine from Avondale University in Australia. This is no small feat. It's really an incredible project, and the work she's done is outstanding. But more than that, to see someone, she before Selma even existed, and started this on her own and brought it to South Africa for herself. She was overseen by Professor Darren Morton, who's going to also be giving us a speech today. And he's the director of the Lifestyle Medicine and Health Research Center at Avondale University. He authored 3 books relating to mental health and well-being, is an internationally renowned lifestyle medicine speaker, and the founder of the LIFT Project. So, without further ado, Amanda, we are very, very excited to learn from you today and to learn a little bit more about the LIFT project and take something home for ourselves as we go forward. So, if anyone has any questions, you pop them in the chat, and we can't wait to hear from you.
With October being Mental Health Month and the 10th of October being earmarked as World Mental Health Day, we thought it fit to shed more light on how lifestyle medicine can impact the mental health sector in a positive way. It comes as no surprise that over the years, mental health has been neglected in terms of diagnosis and treatment, with a vast array of stigmas being attached to having a mental illness. Hence, millions of people have either suffered in silence by not seeking medical help, or have been misdiagnosed and received the wrong treatment, or not received any treatment at all due to poor infrastructure resulting in a decline in mental health. We often forget about the family members who don't know how to deal with these patients, which results in whole families being negatively affected by a poorly managed patient with mental illness. Let us take a look at the most recent research related to mental illness in the South African context. Ashley Craig and her colleagues from Wits University performed face-to-face surveys with 3,402 participants from across South Africa. The research was performed from September to October 2021, which was during the COVID-19 pandemic. Their findings were as follows, which were comparable to other countries also classified as low to middle income countries like Brazil. 25.7% of the surveyed group had probable depression, 17.8% had probable anxiety, and a high number of 23.6% had high exposure to ACEs, also known as adverse childhood experiences, where children either are molested, physically, mentally, or emotionally abused in their early stages. High exposure ACEs have been shown to be associated with high anxiety and depression scores as adults. Poverty and unemployment in South Africa are often rural phenomena, and given that many of the rural inhabitants are linked to agricultural activities, the Northern Cape Province may have reported the highest prevalence of probable depression due to this province accounting for the largest share of South Africa's commercial agricultural land. For the average person on the street, the period from March 2020 to June 2022, when masks were no longer mandatory, was an extremely stressful time wherever you found yourself. Whether working from home or being on the front line, we were surrounded by death and the threat of contracting a deadly disease. In South Africa, we moved through 5 waves as the 5 different strands of the disease caused much distress and turmoil to the country at large. We were subjected to wearing a mask in public, isolation periods, COVID-19 testing, vaccinations, not being able to visit sick family members in hospital, burying loved ones in a very unconventional way, and watching the news that had only negative reports to share. So for the average Joe, this time was beyond stressful. I can only imagine how it affected individuals with an existing mental condition. COVID-19 hit South Africa at a time when the health department and particularly the mental health sector were already constrained. During this time, other services like emergency care and pathology services were prioritized, leaving a mental health gap where existing and newly diagnosed individuals who required treatment failed to receive it due to lockdown constraints and the fear of contracting the virus. This mental health gap already existed, where under normal circumstances, issues like patient transport or under-serviced clinics delayed mental health patients from receiving their prescribed treatment. During the pandemic, this gap was merely exacerbated. The direct consequences of COVID-19 and the amplified mental health gap led to an increase in unemployment, food insecurity, loneliness, fear of contracting the virus, anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress syndrome. In light of the previous 2 slides, I've included the most updated documented suicide rates in South Africa from 1997 to 2016. All the stresses of life sometimes hit people so hard that they feel they have nowhere to turn to or no one to lean on, and they end up taking their own lives. These statistics are a reflection of the sad state of the South African mental health system, as well as a breakdown in the societal support structure at large. These statistics are quite shocking, and I'd like to highlight just a few. You'll notice on the second line, the male versus the female cases. Male cases are 6,699. And one could just think that possibly the pressures that males have to perform under, where they have to run households and to provide for their families, could possibly be a direct result of these extremely high figures. Under the race group, Black African, the researchers don't provide a possible explanation in their paper, but I found this number quite alarming compared to the 156 cases documented for Indian and Asian people. Could this number be associated with a marginalized past and an inability to overcome previous inequalities? This remains a speculation. Never married. Those cases are standing at 5,739. I would have expected more suicide cases in the married or divorced group. Could it be that being married offers a sense of companionship that could buffer for the side effects of mental illness, which a single life does not have? Economically inactive, this group, stands at 7,635 cases. And it comes as no surprise. This large number speaks of a society that is stricken by unemployment, poverty, and a loss of lives due to suicide. The LIVE project was created by Professor Darren Morton, whom you'll be hearing from a bit later. This is an evidence-based lifestyle medicine program which incorporates positive psychology and neuroscience principles in an effort for participants to learn, experience, think, and share in the process. It is a 10-week multimodal program designed to improve the emotional well-being of people. The main goal is to touch and lift 10 million lives. Participants are taught about the brain's anatomy, how the brain and body interact, and how to manage stresses effectively. The program is presented in person or online. The baseline and post-intervention emotional well-being scores are recorded using questionnaires. This program has been introduced to more than 50 countries thus far, and it boasts 11 peer-reviewed journal publications. The first week is an introduction to the program, and the first theme that is taught is for participants to speak positively in order to break those previous negative thought patterns that were the cause of emotional downward spirals. Participants are given a short, easy to understand anatomy lecture on the structure and function of the brain, with the main focus being on the limbic system and how our self-talk and spoken language can affect our emotions positively or negatively. This is the choice that one makes. The challenge or homework task for week 1 is to go home or into the workplace and offer a genuine compliment to another person, and then to memorize an uplifting or inspirational quote or verse. After each lecture, the challenge or homework task is performed by the participant during that week, and feedback related to the challenge is given in the following week. In week 2, participants are reminded of the importance of physical activity and the positive effect it has on emotional health. This has become a well-known fact that being physically active releases those feel-good hormones which in turn help to lift one's mood. The best physical activity is an activity that the participant enjoys doing and won't need much encouragement to perform. The challenge for week 2 requires participants to count their daily steps and aim for 10,000 steps per day, as well as incorporating any form of resistance training to their physical activity program in the form of light weights, body weight exercises, or resistance bands. During week 3, participants are taught how to immerse themselves in an uplifting physical environment. Spending time in the outdoors offers so many health benefits, a few of those being breathing in fresh air, which our lungs crave, and having sunlight penetrating our skins, which is beneficial for vitamin D production in our bodies. When the morning sun penetrates our eyes, without looking directly into the sun, of course, signals are sent to the brain to trigger the hormones that keep us awake during the day, and to down-regulate the sleep hormones, keeping us alert to perform our daily tasks. The reverse is then true once the sun sets, allowing for an upregulation of the sleep hormone. This process is known as the circadian rhythm, and this allows for better and more restorative sleep during the night. Week 3's challenge is for participants to spend at least 30 minutes outdoors and to view at least one sunrise in that week. Week 4 allows participants to examine their present family and friend relations and to decide whether these relationships are beneficial to their emotional well-being. This week's lecture touches on the implementation of the 5 love languages in an effort to mend or nurture present relationships. Week 4's challenge motivates participants to engage in the love language of their spouse or another family member, to make a new friend in person instead of using social media, and to forgive a friend or family member for past hurt. Look to the positive is the theme for week 5. Here participants are taught how to negate the old, destructive thought patterns and neural pathways by replacing them with positive memories, experiences, and future plans. By keeping a daily gratitude journal and visiting or writing a letter to someone that the participant is grateful to was part of week 5's challenge. Eating a nutritious diet that has a plant slant is both beneficial to the gut as well as to the brain, considering the gut-brain axis. The gut thrives on the fiber found in plant-based foods by virtue of the gut-brain axis, When the gut is thriving, so is the brain and an individual's mental state. Participants are challenged in week 6 to eat at least 8 servings of plant foods per day and to prepare and share one plant-based meal. In week 7, participants are taught about the importance of good restorative sleep and how to implement good sleep hygiene principles in order to obtain the optimum sleep time and quality. The challenge includes integrating the sleep hygiene principles into the daily routine and enjoying a candlelit dinner or having a family bonfire one evening in the week. Taking stock of one's present stress levels, learning to say no, allowing yourself time off from your usual routine, and taking charge of your weekly to-do list are all part of the learning objectives for week 8. Successful implementation of these objectives helps to lower the stress hormones in the body and allows the brain to function at its optimum. Participants are challenged to practice being mindful 10 minutes every day and allocating one full day to resting from their usual weekly tasks. Humans have an innate desire to contribute and serve. Discovering your personal signature strengths and serving others or the community, using these signature strengths becomes easier to perform. Serving sustainably involves recognizing that it is necessary to sometimes receive in order to give, because you can't pour from an empty cup. Week 9 challenges participants to perform random acts of kindness and to identify and apply their unique signature strengths for the good of their community. In week 10, participants are taught the tools to help them flourish in life instead of just existing. The PERM or PERMA model is taught during this lecture and is broken down in the following principles. Firstly, P is for positive emotion. We need to feel good. Second, E is for engagement. A state of flow is obtained when we engage in activities that we enjoy doing. 3. R is for relationships. We need positive relationships to thrive. 4. M is for meaning. We all have a longing to feel like we matter. So belonging to and involving ourselves in an activity or project larger than ourselves adds to this meaning. 5. A is for achievement. Achieving a preset goal or mastering a learned task affords a special type of emotion and sense of accomplishment. The challenges set out for participants during week 10 are to engage in enjoyable activities, to set measurable goals, and work towards achieving them. Allow me to share with you the research that I did in collaboration with my colleagues at Avondale University, which we were fortunate to have published in the Frontiers of Psychology journal. We conducted the study during 2022, and it was published in January this year. 26 participants were included in the pilot study, but 3 were excluded due to them not meeting the inclusion criteria. The inclusion criteria were as follows: males and females aged between 18 and 65 years of age with a diagnosed affective mood disorder, which includes depression, anxiety, or bipolar disease. They needed to be taking prescribed antidepressants, anxiolytics, or mood stabilizing medication for their conditions. A score of less than 56 on the mental health scale, or a score of less than 45 on the vitality scale of the SF-36 health assessment. Exclusion criteria were pregnant or lactating ladies and those individuals scheduled to be taken off their prescribed medication meant to manage their mood disorders. This was the first time the LIFT project was used in South Africa and the first time it was tested on a cohort with a diagnosed affective mood disorder who were using prescribed medication for their respective conditions. Participants were referred by our local GPs here in Kathu, and the in-person sessions were held at my practice once a week for an hour. Each week, a new topic was covered as described earlier. Participants were given homework to do in the form of the challenges, and they returned the following week to give feedback on their experiences. The responses were recorded using short weekly questionnaires and extensive pre- and post-intervention questionnaires. The raw data was collected and sent for a data analysis. To follow are the results that we obtained. From week 1 of the intervention, the participants' mental health scores and vitality scores improved incrementally, with the exception of a few dips in weeks 5, 6, and 10, as shown in the graphs. The other parameters measured included depression, which decreased by 46.3%, anxiety levels that went down by 47.9%, stress levels which decreased by 35.7%, and life satisfaction that improved by 23.9%. In previous studies where the LIFT project was used on generally healthy cohorts, positive results were achieved on individuals who were not taking mood-altering medication. The above results could be valuable to the mental health fraternity, not only in South Africa but worldwide, as this study was conducted on individuals who were using medication for their mental health conditions and still showed improvements in their scores. During the course of the 10 weeks, all the participants' medication dosages remained unchanged, except for one participant who had a dosage cut in half towards the end of the study. In the future, similar lifestyle medicine programs could be used on clients with mental health conditions in collaboration with their prescribed medication or used as a tool to assist in the medication weaning process. An even better way for the LIFT project and similar programs to be implemented is as the first line of treatment for the majority of mental health conditions. The effect size observed in this study was encouraging at more than 1.0, but this large value could be explained as follows. Individuals who have more scope for improvement when starting from a lower baseline will show better improvement in their overall performance. These are the limitations that we encountered with the study. As a pilot study, it was a small cohort which prevented us from exploring covariates such as age, sex, and group. Participants were self-selected with the help of the GPs, which could have resulted in them having an already high readiness for change. The low attrition rate of less than 10% could have been attributed to participants being prepared to take action and committed to completing the program. The strong female participation bias, which is common in such programs, did affect the generalizability of the study. An absence of a control group meant that we were unable to determine the influence of confounders. I plan to start my PhD in lifestyle medicine in 2024, making use of the LIFT project again, and would appreciate any help I could get from South African GPs, psychiatrists, and psychologists for possible referrals. The inclusion and exclusion criteria still need to be confirmed, as we have not obtained ethical clearance from Avondale University yet. Possible participants need to be aged between 18 and 60 years. There is no need for a confirmed mental illness diagnosis, as with the previous study. All prescription medication needs to be declared. This time, the study will be run on a 100% online basis. Access to a compatible device and the participant's own Wi-Fi or data is mandatory. They need to have their own email address. They need to be literate. And we plan on starting the study in July or August of 2024. Feel free to peruse my reference list and to find out more information on the topics covered in this webinar. And finally, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking an interest in lifestyle medicine and in mental health issues. These are my contact details. Feel free to contact me on this email address, or if you'd like more information on the LIFT project, visit our website at www.theliftproject.global. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for such an amazing talk and the work you did. I mean, how incredible to bring a whole program like that to South Africa. We're now going to hear a short bit from Prof. Morton, who was the creator of the LIFT project all the way from Avondale University.
Darren Morton, and I want to say hello to all of my friends in South Africa. I've actually just been on your website for the South African Lifestyle Medicine Association. By the way, SALMA, it's a groovy name. I think of all the associations around the world, I like that acronym the most. Just sounds, I don't know, sounds groovy. But anyway, yeah, look, my name's Darren. I'm based at Avondale University in Australia, and I'm the director of the Lifestyle Medicine and Health Research Centre here. I have a really good friend in South Africa, Amanda, who you know well, and she's invited me to be able to just say a few words. And I really just wanted to say that it's just so exciting to see lifestyle medicine infiltrating all around the world and having an impact all around the world, and now including South Africa. And I really want to say words of encouragement to the work that, with regards to the work that you're doing. This is such an important cause and so greatly needed that it's just really amazing. I'm about to head off next week to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine conference, and it's just fantastic to see, you know, over there and what you're doing and what's happening over here. It's a global community. It's a global phenomenon, and as I said, it's just so greatly needed. Perhaps, you know, more than any other time in history. And so just a word of encouragement to you as an association. Keep up the great work. Think strong, think big, and go on and have a tremendous impact. I've been involved in lifestyle medicine for, well, it'd be over 15 years now. In fact, Australia was an early adopter, really, of lifestyle medicine, along with the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And I first got involved with lifestyle medicine through a program that was called CHIP, and it was really focused on diabetes and heart disease. And it was interesting, as so many people, when they get involved in the lifestyle medicine community, say, I felt like I'd always been doing it, but I just didn't realize it was a thing. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in this community, and you realize that this is my tribe, you know, this is my home, because it's just, yeah, and it's a great tribe to belong to. So I spent a lot of time working in the area of the development of interventions for physical health conditions like heart disease and diabetes. But over the past probably about 8 years now, or even longer than that, but I developed a real interest in mental health and well-being. And what we know about lifestyle medicine is that what's good for your body is also exceptionally good for your brain. And you know, it was some time back, I actually saw the writing on the wall that mental health was going to be one of the next big pressing problems facing us in society. And that was not factoring in a pandemic, which really catalyzed that process. But so I got involved in developing a program called the LIFT Project. Hence my little logo there. The LIFT Project, and Amanda's been very involved with the LIFT Project as well. And really what it was is trying to bring a positive but a lifestyle-based paradigm to the prevention, the management, and even treatment of mental health conditions, which, as we know, all around the world is completely escalated. And certainly during the pandemic period, we saw in some countries there was a doubling and even tripling in the levels of mental distress. And to a large extent, it hasn't. We thought maybe when the pandemic moved on that this thing would get back to normal, and it's not. People today are really struggling and not doing well with regards to their mental health and well-being. But it was actually back in about 2016, 2017 that I started to create the LIFT Project, which was really about helping people to understand the lifestyle-based things that they could do to feel better and to feel better about life. To lift their mood and to lift their life. And so, yeah, we kicked it off, and I have a very big, hairy, audacious goal. We have this saying, we talk about BHAGs in Australia, big, hairy, audacious goal. And the goal was to lift 10 million lives worldwide by essentially giving people some skills, some learnings, and some skills and some strategies that they could use to help them to feel better than they are. And what we know within the lifestyle medicine space is that these things work. You know, they're incredibly powerful. You know, you have to touch on things like physical activity. You know, we know that probably movement is one of the most powerful and yet least utilized antidepressants we have available to us. And obviously there's a lot of work now done on food and how it affects your mood. And then obviously sleep comes into that. And there's all of the pillars of lifestyle medicine really speak into the mental health space as well. And I'm really passionate about that message because I think that if we can, this is a massive problem, the mental health space, and if lifestyle medicine can speak into that space, as well as the other spaces like diabetes care and heart disease and these other sort of physical conditions, I think it's a powerful pathway for really championing lifestyle medicine. So flash forward, we kicked off LIFT project officially in about 2018, and since that time we've now conducted about a dozen studies. In fact, our most recent publication was done by Amanda, where she ran a program in a clinical setting in South Africa, and we saw a really very powerful impact of that. Literally within a couple of weeks, people were reporting significant improvements in their mental health metrics, which was exciting. So the LIFT project, we have about 40,000 participants worldwide so far, so we've still got a long way to go to achieve that BHAG. But there are about a dozen publications, as I said. It's now supported by, or it's certified by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. We have the program being run in education settings, so I'm really keen to see schools and universities use a program like this. In healthcare settings, obviously in clinics, the program is being used. In workplaces, it's being utilised as a workplace wellness initiative. And then we've had these really interesting things happening, which really warms my heart, where entire communities have adopted the LIFT project as like a lifestyle medicine framework for improving the well-being of their entire community. And our most recent program in the United States, we had over 5,000 people participating in the one program, which was really exciting. So anyway, enough about the LIFT project. Other than to say that, yeah, if it's something that you think you might be interested in utilising, well then, we'd love to chat with you about that, and Amanda can supply some information about it. But love what you're doing. Tremendously excited to see the work that's been done in South Africa, and welcome to the global community. It's a great community to belong to. It's full of my favourite kind of people, which are capable, caring, and passionate individuals. And collectively, we will change the world. So keep up the great work, and I hope to perhaps be able to meet you face to face one day.
Thank you so much to both Amanda and Prof. Morton for such an amazing talk, and for inspiring all of us, and Nick, especially about the LIFT project. Just to say, I love certain parts of the project and how it really ties in what we know, that the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine can give us physical health, but how that also directly correlates with mental health. Does anyone have any questions? There are no questions in the chat, but does anyone want to ask anything at the moment? Yeah, Lynn.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a big thank you to Amanda. It's a fascinating study, and so well worth it. And listening to the LIFT project and seeing that they're doing educational programs, I presumed overseas, I just wondered if perhaps Amanda or anybody else knew more about that.
Hi, thanks, Lynn. Which educational programs were you referring to now? Are you talking about the LIFT project, or?
Yes, Darren just mentioned that they were rolling it out, and I presume, your work has been with adults, obviously.
Yes.
But I've been so fascinated coming from a psychology perspective, in the child psychology, is how one introduces this in a school setting with young children, often in poor environments too, where diet, etc., is difficult to access. But in terms of preventive work and school rollout, that would be fascinating.
Yeah. So Prof. Darren Morton did initially start the LIFT project. It had a more comical way of bringing over or giving the messages. And from feedback that they received from adults, some adults were put off by that. So they went ahead and did all the recordings again in a more, shall I say, more for an adult population, or more an adult audience. So there are those two on the website. If you are interested in becoming, buy into the program, there are 2 options. There's the one that is more for younger people and more children, and then there's one for more adults. So the more adult one we'd use, like in my setting, I use it. In clinical settings, you'd use the adult version. And then there is the one for, let's call it a more light-hearted version that can be used for kids as well. So yeah, there's two. And then also in poorer communities or in areas where you feel that, we can't do the full 10-week period or, run the full program there, one can condense it down to 6 weeks and prepare and present a 6-week program instead of the 10-week program. So there are many options of how to fine-tune it to the certain community that you need to address.
Fantastic. That really answers the question. Okay. I didn't know that was available. Thanks, Amanda.
Yeah.
Amazing work.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
sorry, just to clarify, Amanda, you said that's on the LIFT project website. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That I once had the opportunity to meet with a young guy who was starting to try and bring social emotional learning into schools in South Africa. And he faced a lot of challenges with it. And for such a cool program, which I think speaks a lot to what you were saying then, like it's all well and good to teach this to adults, but if we can teach it to kids, imagine how much we can prevent from happening as they get older. Sorry, Dave, you've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask Amanda, you only had a small number of participants. Did their success and the experience that they had have any influence on maybe an interest in the community or the community that they were associated with of doing a course like this as well? In other words, has it had any effect in the community to motivate for maybe further courses?
So I can't say that it's had really an effect, a positive effect in the community, because the community is quite large. I mean, it's a small mining town, but they're about, and just an estimate, there are about 12,000 people working just on the one mine, and there are quite a few mines in this area. But I would say that at least it's brought awareness. Awareness to the fact that you don't need to be adding medication to help your mental condition. You can do it with lifestyle medicine principles. So I think that's a foot in the door, at least, raising awareness firstly. And once that awareness is there, people will be more open-minded to actually be exploring lifestyle medicine options instead of just going the normal route. Let's face it, the normal, what we know as, or what you as GPs know as first-line treatment has always been medication. And we're not saying that medication is wrong, but to be using medication and adding on and having side effects to the medication on a person, and they don't understand what's happening in their bodies, I think is also not right. So where one can, lean more towards a lifestyle medicine approach, I'd say that's the way to go.
Can I ask something else as well? I did the LIFT project during COVID. It was offered free then. It was a fantastic project. But I know that one tends to forget, the different principles over a passage of time. And it's good to renew this, or to, just be exposed to it from time to time. And I don't know if you have any experience with that, particularly those that participate in the project, whether they would be interested in a follow-up project as well.
Yeah. I did speak to Professor Morton after while we were busy writing up last year, and I told him I'm regretting that we didn't do like a 6-month or a year follow-up with these people, because I felt that I came here, I gave them all this wonderful information, and I left them there to carry on their own, but they're sitting with tools that are actually invaluable for their future mental health. They each did get a booklet that they could work through, just to make notes while the process was in taking place, and which is at least something that they can refer back to when they feel that they have become rusty. But I do regret that we didn't do follow-up. 6 months and a year, maybe 2-year follow-up would have been ideal, because some people go through the program and they forget the principle that they've learned, and they fall back into the same habits and patterns as they did, before the time. So yeah, I do know that one of the ladies that also did a research using the LIFT project, I speak under correction, but I think she has either a Facebook group or a Zoom group that meet like something like once a month on a Sunday, where they all come together and just share their experiences and just highlight certain principles of the LIFT project again. So there is that possibility that we in South Africa could also consider doing.
One other thing, I know that, you know, one can use this in various groups, like, for instance, church groups and so on. Is there a problem with, is there some kind of mechanism whereby you can purchase and then be able to present it to large groups of people, school, you know, kids in school or whatever? Do they have
Yes.
that facility, or is it sort of on a one basis?
No. There are those options. Professor Morton is quite open to, you know, negotiating, and because at the end of the day, we want to touch 10 million lives, you know. So we're willing. He's always willing to find ways of how to accommodate others so that the message can go out. Just on that point, the LIFT project has also been used a few years ago. It was part of like first year university students. I think it was at Avondale University, where they made it almost like a mandatory course, that for those first 10 weeks they would go through this course, and that was meant to help them to try and manage their stress before they actually do experience the stress. And that actually worked quite well. I do know that it's been introduced in a few schools in Australia already, obviously with great success. So yeah, it really caters to all age groups, not only just either, you know, elderly or whatever. So yeah. So we can, that's why I put my details on the last slide there. So whoever's interested in presenting it like to a church group or to, you know, school children or whatever, we can organize that.
Thank you so much, Amanda. That actually sounds really awesome. And I think Dave, you made a good point that about doing it as a group and utilizing these resources going forward. Before we end a little bit earlier today, does anyone have any more questions? Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we really love the webinars we get to give and the community it creates, and being able to share with like-minded people. And thank you for joining us. We hope you had a good lunch break, and we will see you shortly at our next webinar. Stay tuned for our newsletters and everything we have going forward. Lovely seeing everyone. And Amanda, not only a great presentation, I think very inspiring work to tackle mental health issues is often, if you know, is sometimes the hardest. It's so challenging, and at the moment so pertinent. So thank you for sharing with us. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks.